What's going on YouTube? Jamie the Kid 00 here, back with a bit of a premature deck profile of Atlanteans. I know that the deck, it really isn't as powerful as it should be at the moment because, of course, we're still waiting on things from Abyss Rising and then the next set, Cosmo Blazer. But I figured I'd actually throw together a deck and show you guys how it can play right now, because it still plays quite effectively. I would definitely not say that the deck is tier 1, but it's a contender. I know that it didn't top the latest YCS, but I don't know, that's never really a gauge of power, this format. This format is absolutely crazy. So I definitely think this deck has a lot of potential, especially with the up-and-coming sets. So without further ado, I figure I'd actually do a deck profile of what I am running at the moment. And before anyone asks, because people have done it in the past, where all the standard holographicness of this deck has gone, this is a deck that I've built completely independently, so I haven't broken up any other decks, so there are no holo staples. So that's where all my holo cards have gone, if anyone asks. Either way, I figure, let's get into the deck profile. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And any suggestions you have, please feel free to comment them, and I will get back to you on them, because this is my first draft. I've been playing it on Dueling Network quite a lot, but of course there are a few changes in real life. Either way, let's get into the deck. We play three of the most... probably one of the best cards in the deck. 3 Atlantean Dragoons. Dragoons is essential for searching out your power card, which is Diva in the deck. It's so good with Gen X Undyne and other cards like Gungnir and Abyss Warrior that send it from the hand to the grave. For those of you who don't know what Atlantean effects do, basically they all... well, the majority of the power effects resolve around when they're being sent to the graveyard as a cost for a Water Monster's effect. So sending this for Gungnir or Abyss Warrior, and the same with quite a few other Atlantean cards, is absolutely insane. So just sending this with an Undyne, a Gen X Undyne, and then being able to search Gen X Controller and Diva, and then being able to Allure of Darkness the Gen X Controller, or send the Gen X Controller with something like a Gungnir for a 3+, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Either way, 3 Atlantean Dragoons. Then we play 3 of the Atlantean Heavy Infantry. Heavy Infantry is basically Karakuri Ninishi, the one in the dress that let you normal summon one more time. It's essentially the same effect, and when it's sent to the graveyard you get to pop a face-up card, or when it's sent to the graveyard by Water Monster's effect. Then 3 of what I feel is probably one of the best cards in the deck. 3 Atlantean Marksman. Marksman, when he deals damage to your opponent, will get you a monster from the deck, allowing you to get into, usually this guy, to deal an extra 2200, so you can clear your opponent's board, swing for 14, get this guy and swing for 22. So that's a really crazy play. And I mean, you can do the same thing with Diva and make a Stardust if your opponent doesn't have any monsters on board. So that's why Torrential and Dark Hole in this deck become even more powerful. And if your opponent doesn't have passes a turn without playing a monster, you can usually put them in a really bad situation with either Marksman or Divaing into Marksman to make yourself a Stardust. So yeah, talking about Diva, this is probably the best card in the deck. Because I've been saying about how other cards are good, this is probably the best one. Simply because this gets you so many pluses. Diva will usually lead you into your Gungnir play, and then your Gungnir play will lead you into even bigger pluses. Diva also opens up so many different Synchros and Gachi Phoenix plays. It's just unreal, and I mean, it's not the best card. It's definitely not Tour Guide, but in this deck, it really does facilitate some really explosive plays. And with the reduction of hand traps recently, because a lot of people have been dropping Veiler and Maxi, it's even more effective because it goes off so much more. And then I found consistency issues in my kind of hands with the deck. So I play 1 Abyss Soldier, simply because the deck can have the facility to kind of bunch up a lot of the Atlanteans in hand, because you really don't seem to summon Atlanteans from hand that much. You usually seem to revolve around trying to Diva them out of the deck. So if you have them in hand, you have the ability to go Abyss Soldier, ditch 1, get their effect. So it just keeps the consistency rolling and actually gives you a use for them, because I find, especially Atlantean Heavy Infantry, when that card gets drawn to hand, I usually find it really dead. So I wanted to have an outlet to just send it and get an effect off, and at least get a use out of it. Then for the kind of non-Sea Serpent type stuff, play Triple Undyne. This is essentially a search engine, because of the very fact that you can send a Water Monster to get yourself a Gen X Controller. That Water Monster will usually be Dragoons, and then Dragoons allows you to search your deck for any Water Sea Serpent, which will usually be Diva. So you can see how this goes. And then we play 2 controller to go along with them, because of course you need the controller. I believe you can activate it with no targets in deck, but your opponent would then get to search the deck, which is really not that great, because then they can find out what's in your hand and field if they know how you're playing the deck. But it's a good card. It's a good card. It gives you a lot of sends. I mean, even summoning it and then ditching like a heavy infantry allows you to pop a big monster. So it's very versatile in that respect. Basically turns your deck into a toolbox of effects. Then we play 1 Birdman because there's an OTK with the Birdman and the Diva, but I don't feel that any more of that is any more than 1 is necessary because it can get cloggy. And then the only hand trapper plays Gauze. This deck is really inconsistent a lot of the time, so I felt that Veilers and Maxis would not benefit this deck in any way. They would just make it a bit more cloggy. So yeah, that is the monster lineup. It is very monster heavy, but the spell traps are pretty powerful in my opinion. They definitely play a few different cards, different from the meta decks that are currently doing the rounds. So we play the big 3 in the form of Reborn, Darkhold, and Storm. I play no Book in this deck because I didn't feel Book was necessary. So the power 3, we play 1 Allure because we search those Gen X controllers and they are dead cards in hand, so this is essentially a +1 under that. So who wouldn't play Pot of Greed if it was a 1? Then we play double MST. I didn't like the 3rd, put it that way. Double Call at the Atlanteans. A lot of people have been cutting this, and I'm not the biggest fan of this. I'd probably take it down to 1. But at the moment, it is a really interesting card. It's a really good Call of the Haunted. And played correctly late game, it can open up such massive plays. Especially when all 3 of your Divas have been used up. Can open up really good Synchro Xyz plays. So I really like them at the moment, but it's cuttable because it can clog. Then I play Double Salvage. I would play 3, but the clogging rule applies. It does clog because the deck kind of revolves around getting into its combo plays and then trying to win before its combo plays run out. But you play a few insurance policies in the event you run out of those combo plays. I mean, just the fact that Salvage can get you back the Diva and the level 3 so that you can then do your Diva, Heavy Infantry level 3 Gungnir plays again. It's just helpful in that respect, I guess. Sorry if I'm kind of running out of ideas for what I'm going to say on this deck. It's still so new. I really don't have too much to say about it until I tested it a lot more. But that ends the spell lineup. So onto the trap lineup. We play double Trap Dust Shoot, Spiritual Water Art, Aoi. What makes this card so good is the fact that it's so broken at keeping your plays moving. If anyone remembers Enemy Controller, when your opponent Veilers your Tour Guide and you can econ the Tour Guide off and still get the effect off, this applies the same way. The fact that you can just have this set, you go Diva to get your Marksman if your opponent has a blank field, they go Veiler, you can just tribute the Diva off, get the ability and ditch a card from your opponent's hand. Also, as I was saying before, this is a Dust Shoot. This is a Dust Shoot. Turn 1, you can go Gen X Controller, search your Diva, search your Gen X Undyne, search your Diva, search your Controller, set this, your opponent opens for their turn, you just go Spiritual Water Art, take a look at their hand and choose something. Of course these come out in the Dark World matchup, but it's so good for the fact that it just hits anything rather than Dust Shoot just hitting one monster and returning it to the deck. It hits anything, so it can really stifle your opponent's plays. And late game, this can work like a drastic drop-off. If your opponent is top decking, they draw, you just instantly hit the card with this. It's so versatile, it can do so many things, and of course then it gives you the insight into your opponent's hand of knowing what they have, so you can make reads on their plays. So this really is the gift of knowledge in the form of this card, and it's so good. I can't state how good this card is when played correctly. Either way, 2 Spiritual Water Arts. Then for the more standard traps we play double Bottomless, double Torrential, because you really don't mind blowing up a lot of your monsters, double Warning, and the Judgment. So fairly standard trap lineup if you forget about the Water Art. Right, that rounds off the main deck. Onto the extra deck. This is an extra deck in progress. It's really quite bad, so it could definitely do with a bit of work. So comments would be helpful. Either way, let's get into it. I play the 1 Armory Arm because sometimes you can just get stuck with Diva Heavy Infantry. So this is a good option if you don't want to go into Gachi, or if you want to just power up your Gungnir for a game shot or something like that. So Armory Arm. Then we play 2 5s in the form of Catastor and Hyper Librarian. Hyper Librarian because you can have the facility to make more than one play. more than one synchro player turn, so pluses, 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 and Catastrophe is good. I'm testing one Lauren just for the lols, and one Arene Dragon, because you don't go into 6s that much, so Lauren, I'm just playing for the fun, because the fact that you can go Lauren, flip Call of the Atlanteans in your opponent's end phase, and then just bounce everything back to your hand, it's like a triple salvage, and the fact that this will then swing for 3-5, it's just fun. Double Gungnir, the power card of the deck. I've explained enough about it earlier on. Scrap Dragon and Stardust Dragon. Dirty Rare Stardust Dragon. Level 8s, standard. Mistworm. I always find myself wanting to go into Mistworm if I have like an Atlantean Dragoons on field and I go an Abyss Soldier and I go Diva, get level 3. Or I can go Diva, Marksman attack directly, get Dragoons attack directly, and then go Mistworm. It's just nice. It's just a nice option to have. Either way, that's the synchros. And then for the Exceeders, we play one Dargusto Phoenix, one Gachigen Tetsu, one Leviathan Dragon, because this card trips off Atlantean effects, because you can go Exceeds 2 of your level 3s, detach one, that Atlantean's effect will then activate. Crazy stuff. One Leviair, because Leviair's good. One Zenmains, because you do need to stall. And one Evergishiki Merageist. It's very rare that you make 4s in this deck, so Utopia really wasn't needed. You will literally play this and trip its effect off so that you can get a free search off of Dragoons. So this card's effect basically becomes, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, return that monster to the deck and search a deck for a Water Sea Serpent. So, what's not to love about that kind of play? But yeah, either way, this has been an Atlantean deck profile. I will try and do a deck profile with the Mermail stuff once Abyss Rising is actually released. But until then, this is probably what I'm going to be playing. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so I should be going to play a few duels at social I have, so I will try and record some duels with this. But no promises. But either way, guys, I hope you've enjoyed. Again, any criticisms, any suggestions, feel free to contact me in the comments box and I will talk to you about it. But yeah, otherwise this has been JB the Kid 00 and I'll see you again with some more deck profiles pretty soon. Peace out, guys. Bye.